Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the first webinar session on the last day of Danisswaran 2022. I'm Dana from Team Graduan, and with me this morning, we have panelists from Experian Malaysia. So allow me to introduce our speakers for this session. So firstly, we have Danisswaran, the Empower Plus lead at Experian Malaysia, and we also have Carmen Yong, a finance management trainee at Experience Malaysia. So in this session, our panelists will give you a bit of a sneak preview of how life is like working at Experience, and they will also be sharing their career journey during a fireside chat session that we'll be having later during this session. So make sure to continue watching. And also, if you have any questions that you would like to ask our panelists, do leave them in the chat box because our speakers will be answering your questions live during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Then without further ado, let us get started with the webinar. So I'll start with Danis. Danis, could you give a bit of introduction to Experience so that the viewers can have a better understanding on the nature of the business?
Yep, sure, Dania. Thank you very much for that intro. Right, if you can move on to the next slide, right? Right. Hi, everyone. So good morning. Hope all of you are doing good and well. So if you guys are doing good, then if you can just put up some thumbs up or on the chat, right, that would be great. Okay. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Danis. I'm the Empower Plus lead for Experian Malaysia. And let me just introduce what Experian does, who we are, what we do. So Experian is basically, right, a leading global information services company that provides data and analytical tools to our clients across the world. So if you can look at the left of the slide here, right, so you can see the wide variety of services that we offer. So one of our major services would be credit services. Then we have decisioning and analytics, consumer services, data quality, audience targeting. And our clients, right, actually range from a wide variety of industries like banks, credit card companies, hospital, retailers, and so on. You can see from that list there, right? So to put it in a simple term, right, so what we do, right? So let's say today you walk into a bank or a financial institution to apply for a loan, right? One of the first steps that the bank would do is do a preliminary check on your credit ratings or credit information. So we are one of the companies that provides that platform or database to that bank to pull out that credit report. Right, as you can see from the screen, currently we own and manage about 1.3 billion consumer credit history records, as well as deliver up to 2.5 billions of credit reports on a yearly basis to our customers. Right. So when you talk about Experian as a whole, right, currently we have offices based in 43 different countries with a population of 20K plus employees across the globe. So moving on to Experian Malaysia, right? So here in Malaysia, we are one of the global delivery centers, one of 4 global delivery centers across the world. So the other 3 would be based in Bulgaria, Costa Rica, and Chile. And currently we support 5 main regions ranging from APAC, EMEA, UK, LATAM, as well as North America, right? So when you look at GDC Malaysia, currently we have about 1,000 employees working here, and it's still growing from a different or from a wide variety of nationalities, which is 26 nationalities, right? So towards the right of the screen, you can see the prestigious awards or certifications that we have won, right, that we are extremely proud of, right? And one of the most recent certification that we have won was the Great Place to Work. So when you talk about Great Place to Work, right, it's actually an independent platform that does employee surveys, right, to certify employers who provide an unique working experience to their employee. And I'm proud to say Experian Malaysia is or has been certified as a great place to work. So now that I've given you some background on Experian as a whole, right, so let me talk about myself in general. So if you can move to the next slide. Yeah. So I was born in Perak, but raised in Sunway. So I would consider myself to be, a loyal, typical Budak Sunway, right? So I've spent the last 24 years of my life living in Sunway. I've completed all my education, starting from my primary education all the way up to my undergraduate studies in Sunway. So I've graduated with a twin degree in accounting and finance from both Sunway and Lancaster University. And as all accounting and finance graduate do, right? So I've done my internship in one of those big fours as well. However, I did not, decide or choose to pursue a career in audit. Instead, I joined Experian Malaysia, which is by far, hands down, one of the best decisions that I've made in my life. Right. So some of you might already be wondering, oh, that's a bold statement to make, right? So how has my career journey been so far? Right. So if you can move to the next slide. So I started with Experian back in July 2018, and currently I'm in my 4th year with Experian. Right. So typical to any other fresh graduate, right? When you're starting off with your first job, you'll be both. I was also both excited as well as nervous at the same time. Nervous in the sense that whether I would be able to meet the expectations of the role, or how would my colleague be? Would they be supportive and friendly? So all those general questions similar to you guys, I had those questions, but soon to realize it all turned out to be well, right? Thanks to the supportive environment that we have in Experian. So when you talk about Experian, right, since day one of joining Experian, you'll be actually assigned with a work buddy who will be someone from your team who will guide you as well as help you settle in your role. Right. So looking at my career journey, I started off in 2018 as an accounts payable analyst, where my first year was mainly skewed towards training or learning experience, where I got used to the day-to-day BAU tasks and processes. Right. Moving on from there in 2021, again I was still handling the accounts payable analyst role for UK Ledger, but then I was actually empowered to handle the whole process, right? The end-to-end process, as well as train new joiners in the team, right? The unique thing in my first 2 years in Experian, right, is that I was also given the opportunity to improve existing processes that we had in the team to get myself certified as a yellow and green belt Lean Six Sigma practitioner. Right. Then moving on from there, I was given the opportunity to move to a more global role, which was the accounts payable internal control analyst role, which is basically focuses more on analytical and reporting tasks, where I prepare a lot of cash flow forecasts, right, AP cash flow forecast reports for our senior stakeholders like our regional CFOs, our finance head. Right. So that role actually gave me that opportunity of getting that senior stakeholders visibility. From there, I was given the opportunity to pursue a totally different role, which was the Empower Plus analyst, right? So that role focuses more on strategy rather than the first two roles that I've had, which was more towards the operational side, right? So strategy in the sense that I was actually managing and coordinating all the continuous improvement initiatives here in GFS or in Experian Malaysia, right, as well as implementing operational models, right, in the teams here. Then from there, in 2022, this year, just 1 month back, I was actually promoted to the Empower Plus lead, right? So in summary, right, so my career here in Experian has started off as an operational role, and then I moved to a operational role handling one single region. From there, I moved to a global role, which was more analytical, right, and reporting task. And then I moved to a strategy-based role. So the key takeaway, right, that I would like to highlight from this slide or my whole journey, right, here in Experian, you would definitely be presented with a lot of opportunity. So it's entirely up to that employee or the candidate, right, to actually be, proactive and take that first step to grab that opportunity and then excel in your career. Great. Okay, next slide, please. So talking about opportunity, right? Experian has always embraced the culture of putting people first, where they focus more on their employees' development, personal developments, right? So here on the screen, you can see a wide variety of programs that Experian offers. So first up, you can see towards the bottom right of the screen, which is the Elevate platform, which is essentially a training platform that we have here in Experian, which houses a lot of training materials in the form of documents, podcasts, video tutorials, right, that covers a wide variety of area that the employee can leverage upon to excel or build up their career or skill set. Right, moving towards the left side of the screen, you have the global mentoring portal. So this is essentially a mentor-mentee program that we have here in Experian, where the employee can actually engage with senior stakeholders or senior management team to become their mentor, who would essentially help them to guide their career path as well as give them valuable advice on their career journey. So the unique part of this program, right, is that you are not only restricted to engage with senior stakeholders from the country that you're based in, but you can actually engage with senior stakeholders from different regions as well. So it will be on a global scale. So that is quite unique. Right. Moving on, you'll have the Empower program. So Empower program is basically a set of a set of continuous improvement tools and methodology that Experian provides both training and certification on. Right. So one of those widely used continuous improvement tool, right, in the market right now, which is the Lean Six Sigma certification, which I'm sure most of you would have heard about. Right. So here in Experian, we provide all three levels, which is yellow, green, and black belt training as well as certification. Then moving on to the next program that we have, which is the Stepping Stone and Gigs program. So this is also unique to Experian, where the Stepping Stone program actually has three different sub-programs underneath, which you can see from the screen, which is job shadowing, knowledge transfer, and gigs. So basically, when you talk about job shadowing, is where you would shadow a senior manager or senior management team. It's sort of like a day in a life of a senior manager, where you just shadow them and see what they do on a daily basis, right? Then the other two programs that the other two sub-programs that we have here would be your knowledge transfer as well as gigs. So this one focuses on an hands-on approach where you actually go on a short-term assignment, which is like 3 to 6 months within different teams, right? You'll get to know what they do, learn their processes, as well as help out that team. So this would eventually allow you to grow your skill set, right, on what the other team does as well. And finally, for those accounting and finance graduate, we do also offer professional qualification support in case if you want to pursue your professional qualifications, right? So all levels, all different programs, we do provide that support as well, right? So let's pause for a second and let me recap what I've shared so far. So I've shared about what Experian is all about. I've shared about myself. I shared about my career here in Experian and what sort of programs that we offer. And I'm pretty sure that most or some of you might be already wondering that is Experian all about work? No, think again. We also have as much fun as possible as well together with working. So if you can see from the next slide, right, so this is actually a sneak preview of a recent team building event that we had for our finance team here, right? So here in Experian, right, we do a lot of CSR programs as well as other events, fun events, like we have our annual dinner, we have our movie nights, and on top of that, for each department or most of the departments, we have our own social committee who would organize events on a quarterly basis or bi-monthly basis, right? So we do a lot of fun activities as well. So it's not all about work here in Experian. So if you're looking for a career, right, or a workplace that allows you to, work, explore as well as grow, then I can definitely assure you Experian is the right company or workplace for you, right? So before I move on or I end my part of the sharing session, right, can I just ask you guys, how many of you guys listening today are from Gen Z? So I got to admit, right, that you guys are absolutely amazing because Gen Z, you guys overcame pandemic, then you guys like completed your education as well as joined the workplace during uncertain times. That takes up a lot of dedication and willingness, right? Willpower to do so, right? So that is absolutely amazing, right? So I'm pretty sure that you would definitely enjoy, or you can closely relate to the next topic that our very own Gen Z, amazing Gen Z, Carmen, will be sharing next. So over to you, Carmen.
Thank you, Danis, for the great introduction and about Experian and about yourself. So, hi guys, I'm Carmen and I'm currently a graduate trainee in Experian. I'll just go through a little bit about myself. So, I graduated in Monash in 2019, and because of the COVID pandemic, right, I decided to continue CPA papers before finding a job. I think it was due to a lot of hiring freeze from a lot of companies, so I just slowed down and took CPA papers. And I believe that a lot of us do felt like the pandemic has slowed us down with our growth in life, because I definitely felt like that, like with the pressure of finding a job right after graduating and stuff. But don't be too worried, because I'm sure everything will work out in the end. So moving on to the next slide. So this is my journey so far. It's not as comprehensive as Danis, but so after graduating from Monash, I continued my CPA papers, and I also joined Big Four during my internship, but I didn't continue to pursue a career in audit. And I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, why didn't I continue into the Big Four? Especially, it's the most usual route for people graduating in accounting and finance. For me personally, I don't think that just studying the syllabus is enough for us to know what we want to do in a career. So my internship experience made me realize that I didn't really enjoy doing external audit. But at the same time, I also didn't know what I want to do in my career. So I'm sure a lot of people feel the same, especially with the fear of not knowing what you want to do, but then like joining a job where you have to do the same thing over and over for a few years. So when I came upon Experian hiring graduate trainees and have the opportunity to rotate between different departments, I applied for it. I just want to point out that in Experian, graduates can opt to apply as a graduate trainee or also for a permanent role. The difference between these two are that for graduate trainees, you get to rotate to a different department by default every 6 to 9 months. And like, for example, I have already went from financial planning and analysis, FP&A, department to controllership within the 1 year of being in Experian. So for permanent roles, it's not to say that you do not have this opportunity to rotate to different departments. You still do, but just less often. So for example, Danis was from account payable, and then he is now in process improvement because of the opportunity provided by Experian to him to complete his yellow belt and green belt. So on to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit of what Gen Z wants. I think there was a missing slide. But is there another slide before this? It's okay. I'll just go through about a little bit of like, as a Gen Z, what we expect to have in the workplace. So there was a survey done by Deloitte, and from what I remember, the result came out that Gen Z prefers to work in industry where they interact with personally. So anyone here has applied for credit card? So you know, like when you apply for a credit card, the bank will actually check your credibility before they give you the credit card. So by using Experian's database. So yeah, and then but another thing that Gen Z wants is diverse and entrepreneurial opportunities while also having a stable job. So that means that to say that we want to have freedom in how we do things. And I think Gen Z also prefer to do individual tasks over team-based activities. And that's not to say that we are antisocial. We still want to have physical connection with people, but we also like to be independent in how we do things. So as a Gen Z, I think that Experian is doing really well in taking actions to meet our needs. For example, when I first joined Experian, it definitely wasn't easy trying to understand the process and also working from home. Like learning from seniors through Teams meeting and also like asking help through chat, like the pain of having to wait hours for a reply and also not knowing how your senior think about you because you can't even see their face, right? So But I think that Experian really helped to put people first, like by putting in place a lot of measures to ensure that we ease in while working from home. So for example, in both of the departments that I have been in, my managers always make sure to check in with us on a one-to-one basis, just to make sure that they keep up with us on like any issues that we face in work, and also make it a safe place where we can speak up and seek help if we need. So I'm really grateful that there's this in place. So another thing about Experian is that we are allowed to work flexibly. So for example, I've only been here for 1 year, but I've already been allowed to train new joiners without being micromanaged by anyone. And there's this trust system built in Experian. And then, so now I'm in controllership team supporting APAC countries, where I get to prepare financial statements and liaise with auditors and Bank Negara Malaysia and other stakeholders. And I admit that it is quite challenging in doing this, but we also really do have flexibility in how we work and where we work. So another thing that I really like about Experian is the flat hierarchy in the company. I think this is my favorite part of being in this company. So as I mentioned, I only joined for 1 year, and I've already had a lot of opportunities to work with and learn from the top management. So Peng Siu, our head of GFS, head of Global Finance Service, organizes an open day every year once, and make sure like anyone can go in and have any informal chat with her and ask her anything. So it's a very open and trustful environment, I would say. And also, I also got to have lunch with her, like the head of GFS, even though I'm just a freshie, and it really goes to show that like my contribution to the company does not go unnoticed. So speaking of hard work going unnoticed, Experian also have awards where anyone can nominate you for doing a good job at any given time. You don't even have to wait until like performance evaluation where you get to know that you're doing well in your job. So anyone can nominate you. That means anyone from lower rank, same rank, or higher rank can actually nominate you to get this award. And the reward is actually like cash money. So who doesn't like that? But yeah. So this has been my experience with Experian so far, and I can't wait to see what else is in store for me with this company, given that the culture and values of always putting people first. So if Experian sounds like a place you want to kickstart your career in, do remember to apply through the Graduate portal. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Danis and Carmen, for such a thorough introduction on what experience is and taking us along your career journey, and for sharing your experience with Experian. So, as I've mentioned at the start of the webinar, we'll be having, we're also having fireside chat sessions where I'll ask the speakers a few questions just to get to know them better in terms of their career. So I will now start with the first questions. Since we've now known a little more about your career journey with Experian, can you share with us a little fun fact about yourself to kickstart the fireside chat? Maybe we can start with Danis.
Yep, sure, Daniel. Yep, some fun fact about myself. During the pandemic MCO period, right, I lost about 20 kgs. So yeah, that was one fun fact about myself.
How long did it take for you to achieve to lose 20 kilos?
One year plus.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
an achievement. Okay, what about you, Carmen?
Well, I love dogs, and I have 2 dogs, and I swear they know what I'm thinking about. So, not as fancy as Danis, but yeah.
Would you like to share what their names are with the audience?
Okay, sure. Coco and Maya. I love them. Shout out.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Danis, how would you describe your ideal working environment? What do you need to help you thrive? Maybe career exploration, development, or working style. Could you share that with the audience?
Yep. I mean, for me, right, I would actually need a workplace, right, that would able to provide me a supportive environment, supportive, empowering, as well as engaging environment. So supportive in the sense that in case if there's something wrong, something goes wrong, or something bad happens, then the company would be able to, or my team members would be able to support me, right, if there's any questions or trouble or any roadblocks that I faced. Then in terms of empowering is basically to have that trust to actually empower you to take on new challenges, new opportunities. So that is definitely something that I look forward towards, as well as engaging in the sense that it's not all about work, right, in your workplace. So you do have these sort of fun activities as well.
All right, thank you for sharing, Dennis. So Carmen, what attracted you to Experian to start your first career?
Definitely the graduate trainee program, that when they mentioned that we are allowed to rotate departments, I think that definitely attracted me to Experian. And then, I did a little bit of research on the company. I went to Glassdoor and saw that Experian's rating is actually quite good. So that really encouraged me to apply. Yeah.
Okay, one more question for Carmen. So, what's better, in your opinion, what's better, being a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? Like, which would you enjoy more and learn from most?
I think I would rather be a big fish in a small pond, because I think in a way you get to learn more different things from different teams, and then you get to see the whole bigger picture of the whole process. So instead of doing the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. A question for Danis this time. What advice would you give to a friend who is struggling to maintain a good work-life balance?
Yep. So first up, I think I'll definitely give them, what's my take on work-life balance, right? It's, for me, it's not about, switching off on time. That's not work-life balance for me. Is, managing that time pockets where there would be certain periods, right, in the month where you would have peak periods where you would work late, but then you would take equal time to, tone down and relax as well when there's less peak for you. So and the other advice that I would give him, right, in order for you to give a very good quality deliverable, right, you need some form of rest as well. You cannot be going on at 100 miles per hour and not delivering something that's quality based, right? So, yep, that will be my advice for them.
Thank you. I hope all of your audience took note for the advice. So, another question for Carmen. Companies are ramping up their diversity and inclusion efforts. From what you've seen so far, what's the one thing that Experian has done well in this area?
My time in Experian has really shown me that Experian really gives back to the community through many CSR initiatives. So I know that they've recently collaborated with one of my friends' nonprofit organization called Connect ED by refurbishing laptops and also donating it to Connect ED for them to help with the B40 community with their online studies. So another thing is that I know that Experian likes to give gift packs to their employees, and every time they give us something, it's always in collaboration with some CSR organization. Yeah, so I think that's really doing very well.
Thank you for that, Carmen. So moving on, what are the 3 top tips to excel in your early career that you can share with our graduate community to help them prepare for the next phase in life or workplace? Maybe Danis could answer this one.
Yep, sure. So top 3 tips, I would say, right, is something that I've received when I first attend my interview here in Experian from my manager, right? So the first tip would definitely be to develop your skill. Always keep on developing your skills. That is very important. The second tip would be, don't judge a particular task based on that complexity of that task, right? Even the most mundane or repetitive task, there is something for you to learn on those tasks. So that is something that you should always consider. And my third advice would definitely be, at least for the early stages of your career, right? Do not focus too much on your pay or your promotion. Just try to build up the first two advice that I give you. Build up your skill, try to learn as much as possible, and eventually your pay and promotion will fall into place. Yep.
Thank you for the tips, Danis. So now a question for both of you. So in your opinion, what would be the Gen Z's preference, choosing between financial security or job satisfaction? Who would like to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
I think Gen Z prefers job satisfaction. And I think that's what keeps them motivated, is knowing that whatever they are doing makes an impact, like to the organization and to themselves. So yeah. Danis?
Yep, I totally agree with you, Carmen. So for me as well, it's job satisfaction, right? Gen Z would definitely need or want job satisfaction. They want to be inspired to start working every day, not like drag their feet, right, to work every day. So that is something that they look forward to, job satisfaction.
All right, so we've reached to the final question for our fireside chat session. So can you describe experience in 3 words? Let's start with Carmen.
I would say wholesome, generous, caring.
Interesting. What about you, Danis?
Yep. So if I were to describe Experian, right, it will be similar to what my ideal work environment would be, which is supportive, engaging, and also empowering.
Also interesting. Okay, that was the final question for our fireside chat session. But before we end, we've received a few questions from the audience. So let's go through the question now. So first we have a question from Ashikin. How long did it take for you to get along with the whole team and your work, for both Carmen and Danis? So maybe we could start with Danis.
Yep. For me, right, since we had that buddy program here in Experian, right, so they would eventually help you or guide you through the whole process. So it took me about, I would say, 1-2 weeks. I was pretty familiar with all the processes that we do here, as well as we had a very supportive team, supportive environment.
For me, I'll be honest, I think when I first joined during the lockdown, it took a little bit longer since it was all online and you didn't know who's your teammates. But because we have virtual activities like team bonding, like just eating lunch together and stuff, I think it took, like, since we had that event and everyone bonded through games and stuff online. Yeah. But then now that we are back in office, I think it's quite fast. Like, everyone's really friendly here. I think the culture is very caring and everything. So yeah.
Okay, moving on to the next question. We have a question from Alia. She would like to know, what are the challenges that both speakers encountered while working in Experian, and how did you overcome them? Maybe we could start with Carmen.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear.
Okay, sure. So what are the challenges that you two encountered while working at Experian, and how did you overcome them?
I think personally, it was more on, it wasn't an Experian problem. It was just the issue with working from home. I think every company was trying to adapt to working from home and communicating through online. I think that was quite challenging for me, trying to ask questions online, like how do you go look at Excel file online with people? So yeah, how did we I think definitely Experian really did help with like doing all the meetings with your manager and keeping up with expectations on both sides, like what your manager expects from you and you knowing what is expected from you. So knowing this kind of stuff really helps in fixing whatever issues you're having, since you can actually talk to your manager about what you're facing, what issues you're facing. And then like if you think that your senior isn't replying you enough, you can voice out, and then like you guys can do like catch up session every 1 to 2 days just to see how's your progress going. So yeah, I think definitely like knowing what is expected of you and knowing what your managers expect from you. Yeah, that helps me.
Well, that was a good sharing. What about you, Danis?
Yep. For me, right, generally because I joined as a fresh graduate here, right, I did have that, personal fear, whether I can ask all my colleagues a lot of questions or not, if I'm not sure about anything, and whether they would like hate me for that, right? So, but eventually, everyone turned out to be very friendly here, thanks to the the supportive environment here in Experian. So you can definitely reach out to anyone in your team, and they would be willing to help you out, as well as not only restricted to your team. You might have people from other teams as well walking up to you, introducing themselves, and greeting you good morning every day, right? Or some days, right? And that is essentially that supportive nature helped me overcome that fear that I had as well.
Okay, moving on to the next question from Joshua. To the panelists, which one would you choose? Productivity and being proactive, or just working hard and staying within your comfort zone? Anyone would like to jump in? Okay.
Yep, I can go in first. So it's something that I closely relate to as well, right? So for me, I would definitely say being proactive and productive at the same time, right? Don't just focus on your day-to-day task. Try to learn more, do more, right? Explore what are the different areas that you have, different opportunities that you have, because in the long run, that would help you excel in your career.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Danis. Like everyone can just be doing like working hard with their work, right? But how do you stand out from other people? Like you definitely have to like step up and take on more opportunities, and to like be so that your top management will also notice you. Just a tip from Gen Z to Gen Z.
Good tip. Okay. To wrap up our Q&A session, we have a question from Aisha. What skills are you looking for in a candidate at Experian?
I would say generally someone who's proactive, willing to learn, right? That is something that you should have, right? Being proactive, willing to learn, and trying to do more to develop yourself as well, right? So that is one of the skill set that I can share.
I think don't be afraid to ask questions. I know that a lot of us will feel like, are we asking dumb questions? But I feel like from your manager's point of view, they would rather you ask questions instead of making mistakes like with the final product. Like just keep asking questions. And yeah, don't feel like you're being judged or people are judging you. Like it doesn't matter as long as you can get the work right. I think that would be my advice. Yeah. And also your manager would feel like you actually want to understand the whole process rather than just doing the work itself because of it's your job. So yeah.
All right, so that concludes our Q&A session. So just before we wrap up our webinar session for this morning, can you share any words of advice with the viewers? We can start with Danis.
Yep. I mean, word of advice. So for me, it's all about learning, right? Always take everything as a learning experience, right? No matter what or how hard the task is, always take it as a learning experience. Yep.
I agree. What about you, Carmen? Is there any tips or tricks that you would like to share with the audience before we conclude our webinar session?
I say to keep asking questions.
maybe like Gen Z, advice for the Gen Z.
Okay, I think like I know that a lot of Gen Z, we always feel like when the task is boring or something like that, we will want to give up. But as Danis say, don't give up because there is always learning opportunity from any mundane task. Like you will always learn something from it. Like don't give up so soon. Yeah, I think it is in our blood to just like this is boring. I don't want to do this anymore. But, like always look at the bright side. There's always learning opportunity through any task. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good tips that I could agree with. So anyway, I thank you so much, Danis and Carmen, for for taking us through your career journey and sharing what life is like working in Experian and sharing tips and advice with our viewers. And I'm sure our viewers have enjoyed learning a little bit about your roles and careers and experience. And it's been a pleasure moderating this webinar with the two of you. So to the viewers, if you're looking for career opportunities for Experian and would like to know more about what Experian has to offer, be sure to visit the virtual booth to connect with their representatives for more information. And of course, don't forget to vote Experian as Malaysia's most preferred employers for the Graduan Brand Awards at brand-awards.graduan.com or the Experian virtual booth. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next webinar. Bye, everyone.